Welcome to the Erotic Realm podcast, where we explore the psychology of darker desires. I'm Em, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm a psychosexuality nerd with a background in psychology, sociology, medical science, and Tantra. I'm also in a 24/7 collared relationship, and I created this podcast with the mission of humanizing kinksters. Join me here for one-on-one, in-depth conversations as we explore the fascinating world of eroticism, one erotic realm at a time. If you love what we're doing here in the erotic realm, I'd like to ask you a quick favor. Can you follow and rate the show wherever you listen? It helps the show reach more people like you. And if you haven't yet, I'd love if you could subscribe to my Substack, Psychology of Desire. This is where I go even deeper into the science and symbolism of desire, archetypes, and erotic evolution. You'll get access to articles, unique surveys and research, and behind-the-scenes access to everything I'm building. Simply visit psychologyofdesire.substack.com. I'll see you there. And now, for today's episode. What you're about to hear in this episode is something a little different. They're not full interviews, and they're not complete stories. They're also not meant to represent anyone's entire erotic identity. What you're about to hear are peak erotic experiences, moments shared on the erotic realm over the past year that stood out not just for their intensity, but for their psychological depth. These are the moments that people remember, the moments that linger long after the scene ends. The moments that quietly reorganize how someone understands their own desire. A peak erotic experience isn't necessarily the most extreme thing that someone has done. It isn't always the most explicit, and it isn't even always about orgasm. Peak erotic experiences are moments where desire, meaning, and emotional intensity converge. They often feel distinct, almost outside of ordinary time, as though something essential was crossed, revealed, or claimed. The psychologist who gave us the clearest language for understanding this was Jack Morin in his book, The Erotic Mind. Morin wasn't interested in cataloguing kinks or sexual techniques. Instead, he asked people a deceptively simple question. What was the most erotic experience of your life? And what he found was striking. Across genders, orientations, relationships, and sexual styles, people's peak erotic experiences followed similar psychological patterns. What mattered most wasn't what people did, but how desire interacted with tension. Morin observed that peak erotic experiences tend to arise when desire meets an obstacle, something that resists it, a line that feels risky to cross. There's often emotional exposure, being seen, surrendering control, admitting a truth, or allowing oneself to want what once felt forbidden. Power frequently plays a role, sometimes explicitly. Sometimes it's more subtle, a shift in polarity, trust, or psychological position. Many peak experiences involve permission to feel, permission to cross an internal boundary, permission to become someone slightly different on the other side of the moment. And often people describe entering a different state altogether. Time distorts, awareness narrows, the body becomes intensely present. In this way, peak erotic experiences are less about sex itself and more about states of being. As you listen to the moments that follow, I invite you not to focus on the specifics of what's being described, although that's certainly fun. Instead, I invite you to listen to where the tension lives, where the risk appears, where permission is granted, where power shifts, where something internal changes. These excerpts are offered not as a spectacle, but as glimpses into how the erotic mind actually works when it's most alive. What follows are selected peak erotic experiences shared on the erotic realm this year. If you'd like to explore the erotic realm of one of them more fully, I've listed the episodes they are from in the show notes below. I invite you to listen slowly and notice what resonates. Who knows? You may even be inspired to explore a new experience that may become a peak erotic experience for you one day. Enjoy.
Well, first and foremost, I'm perfectly capable of enjoying vanilla sex. Mm-hmm. However, my temperament is kinky. I am a sadist, albeit a rather unusual one, in that I am a proponent of so-called pure play, which is to say, play without sex. I almost have to say I prefer that to the sexual dynamic as well as the kink. I'm very happy to play with masochists generally after we've established some sort of basis of friendship, once we are clearly in sync with one another. However, I have been most fulfilled on those few occasions in which I've had the pleasure of giving women orgasms from pain scenes. Mm-hmm. And indeed, I can say we made love through the medium of pain as opposed to the medium of sex. And this is very powerful intimacy a few times, with a few people. All of these were relationships that lasted for a while. I also engage in psychology, which is the process by which one can give the other person, and since I am heterosexual, the woman, orgasms without any physical contact whatsoever. This is done either through verbal suggestion. I use hyperimperia for that, and also so-called chakric energy play, which for whatever reason on FetLife they call chakra energy play, but chakra is a noun, so I prefer chakric. And then finally, I've got a number of fetishes. Many of a literary or some almost theatrical nature. I enjoy reading more poetry, although sometimes also prose, to naked women. And I've actually had women orgasm from listening to various marvelous works of poetry, not erotic at all. I mean, the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot, there was one woman who not only orgasmed, but she was also in tears. So go figure. I have found myself with women, and I have to be honest about you, these weren't things that came to my mind. I was sort of led into them. One woman wanted to be fingered in a church. Another wanted to be fingered in a graveyard. I mean, the list goes on. But something of that sort, just because it is such a theatrical moment. The sheer depravity of the scene or the setting itself is immensely stimulating. And I really enjoy that also. So that kind of is a brief overview. Oh, I also list a garlic fetish, but, we can go on and on. I'm sure you realize. I mean, a fetish is anything that's used as a fetish, but my primary kinks then, psychology, obviously sadism first, psychology, and something theatrical or literary.
A peak sexual experience that felt very meaningful. I will have to go. I have done 2 threesomes with my husband and my boyfriend, and they have both been extremely meaningful in the sense. There's a few different pieces to it. It was definitely physically overwhelming, just to have 2 people focusing on me receiving pleasure. So I kind of talked about like that as like the pillow princess role and being the receiver of this, and sort of it was very difficult for me mentally and emotionally to get to like accept that they both wanted to be in the same room, uh, giving me all of this love, attention, pleasure together. I had had other partners, male partners, who felt very jealous about me enjoying, if I enjoyed, time with another man or was attracted to another man. And this idea that they were both putting my pleasure and my enjoyment above their own, although they, I think, also very much enjoyed it. Um, but that was, I mean, it would mentally, and even now, I think, because that was probably a year and a half ago for the first time, I'm still sort of mentally grappling with that, like accepting that I wasn't too much. I could ask for that and I can have that and it's okay. And they want to give that to me. It's okay for me to enjoy it, and feel comfortable talking about it, asking for it. Even as simple as, like, when we've gone out to events and I will hold both of their hands and I just feel so spoiled and like the center of attention, which is actually very uncomfortable for me. So it's very funny that, yes, we do kind of have a large following on Fed and lots of people looking at pictures of my husband and I. Although my boyfriend and I are quite private, we don't really have a lot of pictures. We have a different relationship. So it's been very interesting to just feel like so spoiled from having not one, but two amazing people in my life.
I'm happy that you have both of them and that you feel spoiled. You deserve it.
I'm trying to accept that. Yeah.
Well, that was one of your first experiences. What is a peak erotic experience that you've had? An experience that really ticked a lot of what you seek in an amazing experience?
Well, I mean, with that partner, fortunately, I have lots of great experience, but I'll give a different one. So there was somebody who, so the first event I went to, which I think I mentioned, it was basically like a kinky nightclub experience. So like basically it was, they rented out a dance hall. This is late 2018. So it was when I very much first joined the scene. And basically it was a dance, like a ballet studio, basically, where they basically turned it into a kinky nightclub. And it was just, it was the first time I'd ever dressed up and walked around in public in the way that I did. So that for me, it was like a huge, like, emotional experience to like be out as this queer person. But also people are hot as shit. Like it was kind of, I guess, for those who are familiar, like it's sort of a Torture Garden style, like they're trying to do a Torture Garden style event where it's like, dress code means that everybody's dressed to the nines. And so there's all of these people in like latex and the rest of it. And everybody looks hot. And basically at a certain point, I didn't really know anybody because I had just joined the scene, and I just got bored and didn't want to, and it was very hard to talk to people because it's a thumping nightclub. So I just started dancing, and I started started dancing, and then people just kind of joined me because like somebody needed to do it, and I did it, and so then more people felt comfortable to do it, and I became friends with somebody through that who was looking to sort of get back into the scene and sort of embrace the sadistic side. So it was complicated and difficult. There was a bunch of challenges there, but we did have one scene where I bottomed, where for the most part when I bottomed for impact at that time, like, I would, because I was reading through the pain, there was sort of very much like in the moment, I'm, clearly in pain, but usually for the most part, like as soon as the scene stops, I sort of stepped away from the cross and I was fine. Like maybe I needed to wipe my nose, drink some water, but otherwise I didn't need much aftercare. But this scene with this person, when this scene happened, it'd been a few months. We'd sort of done some scenes before. It was just, well, for me, it was probably the only time I've got kind of into a subspace of sorts. It was one of the only times I kind of got floaty. And afterwards, so we finished the scene. This is in this kink, this swingers venue, so it's sort of open area, so lots of people are watching. And some friends were watching, and they came up afterwards, and they're like, "Oh, that's such a good scene." And even though these are some good friends, I just wanted to fuck off because all I wanted was just to snuggle with this person, and I just felt super connected to them. And that was a really beautiful experience for me. Like that was something I guess, I mean, I've subsequently had that experience like as a top. But I don't think I've ever bottomed in quite the same way. And yeah, I forgot what the question is. I hope that answered the question.
You did answer it. I was asking you about a peak erotic experience, so you answered it beautifully.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be it. I mean, I guess that was not a sexual experience per se. I mean, I at that club, it was a swingers venue, and I had some. It's certainly in the first half of 2019, I had some pretty crazy like swinging type experiences. But I think in terms of actual kind of intimate connection, like feeling connected to somebody, like that's probably the peak out of what I would subsequently have with my partner. And I was fortunate in that relationship to have like many very intense, beautiful, like erotic experiences. Yeah.
We love to hear it. I wanted to ask you about a peak erotic experience of yours that you can share with us today. Something that when you think about it, it really speaks to your erotic realm and stayed in your mind since it happened.
Oh, something erotic that I've done. I don't know. Today?
Anything, like just something that pops into your head, like an experience you've had that you're just like, yes, that's really my authentic sexuality.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just like when my dom just like ties me up and just like, when she has her way with me, because I'm always trying to give, I'm like, I want to give you an orgasm. Like stop, just let me do it. Like, she's like, no, you stop. You let me do what I want. And you just fucking sit there and you stay tied up, fucking gag you. I'll blind you, I'll blindfold you, whatever. And she just fucking goes to town and I just sit there and just fucking enjoy myself. It's the best.
Sounds amazing.
It's the best.
Lucky you.
It's awesome. I'm having a great time. I'm installing a shibari like rod above my bed like this week.
Awesome.
We'll start playing with rope.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Denial. I even wrote about it a little bit. Something I love to hate. When I'm in denial, I sometimes get asked to be in denial because denial to me is, yes, it's very physical, metaphysical, all that sensation, but it heightens me. It heightens my awareness of everything. It heightens my sensuality, my sexuality to the point where I'm edging even. Because I'm aroused, I'm not allowed to come or not allowed to do that. But in denial, I can still edge. So I get myself all worked up by different things, just living. And by staying in denial, then when I'm allowed to release and allowed to experience what I'm experiencing, when I'm given permission, it's multiplied. It is so multiplied than rather just having an orgasm all the time to me. But that's how I feel it. So I love being in denial because I can have these massive full body orgasms when I've been in denial for a while. And it's intense. And I love it, but it drains me. It is very physically, emotionally draining. But little times I'm in denial, it just heightens my awareness of what I'm feeling sexually and sensually. So I can experience whatever at a heightened level.
I'm curious to hear from you now about a peak erotic experience of yours. Is there something that when you think about it, it really speaks to your erotic realm and has stayed in your mind since it happened?
Oh, yeah. I would say like the first probably year with my current dominant, but I would say probably our first or second date that we had. We talked for a while before we eventually went out, but we had that kind of instant primal connection that I just had not experienced with anyone else. And I found this word when I was doing research for the podcast. They call it predatory reverence. I don't know if that's something you're familiar with.
No, I'm not. Tell us.
But it's basically worship that is just very possessive but unwavering in reverence for like the body. So it is not
violent, but it's meticulous and ritualistic. It's by no means gentle, but it's not cruel either. It's more just like overpowering hunger in a predatory sense to explore that person and that person's body. And I found it was present in a lot of the smut that I read and a lot of the stories that I was drawn to. And then that was, I guess that would be that initial feeling from that date of just feeling the energy off of him of possession and just raw, uninhibited desire, but in such a way that cared for my body and respected me as a person, while walking that very thin line.
Sounds really fun.
It was great. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to The Erotic Realm. If this episode stirred something in you, please take a moment to follow the show, leave a rating, or write a review on wherever you're listening. It helps more people find the show and brings visibility to this deeper conversation about eroticism and self-understanding. I'd also like to invite you to dive deeper into the psychology of desire, including my writing, research, and upcoming courses over at psychologyofdesire.com. And if you want the full experience, join thousands of curious minds on my Substack at psychologyofdesire.substack.com. This is where I release the Psychology of Desire case files, behind-the-scenes thoughts, and intimate reflections every week, plus more. Until next time, stay curious, stay embodied, and keep exploring. Also, as always, stay perverted.